Hi, this is Robert with Line 6, and in this video we're going to be using the AMPLIFi remote app to write a John Frusciante style guitar tone for the song Danny, California. There are a lot of different treatments and effects applied to all the small guitar parts that are sprinkled throughout the song. We're going to focus on the main verse, chorus, and bridge sections, and at the very least, the fundamental tones and effects will be a good foundation for the remaining guitar parts that we won't have time to address in this video. So let's swipe to the right on the upper left of the screen to reveal the menu, and from this list we'll select Editor. Here in our edit window, we can see our signal chain flowing from left to right at the top of the screen. Starting out with the amp and cab settings, the factory preset here has the 1990 Brit J800 amplifier currently selected. So let's take a listen before making our adjustments. From doing some research, we've learned that the 1969 Brit Plexi Lead 200 is going to be much closer to the type of amplifier that John Frusciante uses. So let's tap on the red amp icon on the left to make a different selection. Here's a list of various British-style amplifiers that are available to us in the AMPLIFi remote app. Select the 1969 Brit Plexi Lead 200 and double tap it to load, or press the word Done that's on the top right. Frusciante is using a vintage ash body guitar with single coil pickups to create a pretty fat sounding rhythm guitar tone in Danny, California. So let's EQ this amp to get closer to that tone. We'll reduce the drive to 80% to clean it up, increase the bass control to 45% to thicken the bottom end, keep the mid-range at about 75%, and bring the treble up to 75% to add some clarity and definition to the notes in those chords. The presence control can really manipulate the voicing and tone of an amplifier, so let's increase the presence on this to 70% and add in some of those upper mid-range frequencies that'll really help to add to the body and complexity of these rhythm chords. The last thing we need to do to the amplifier is increase the volume to about 60%. Now that we've set up the gain and the EQ on the front side of the amplifier, we need to change some parameters in the cabinet, so let's tap on the word cab that we see on the right side of the screen. The first thing we want to do here is select a different type of cabinet, so let's tap on the gray cab icon that we see on the left of the screen. The 412 Green 25s cabinet is the one that loaded with the Plexi Lead 200 amplifier, but we want to select the 412 Brit T75 cabinet because from our research, that's more in line with the type of contemporary cabinets that John Frusciante uses. Double tap that one or hit the word Done that's on the right. We'll keep the early reflections at 34% and we'll keep the mic at the 57 off-axis model. The next thing we need to do to write the tone is move up to the signal chain, so we'll tap on the gate block that's at the upper left. It's a good idea to keep the noise gate in place, especially when using single coil guitar pickups. So the first thing we want to do is turn this on using the power icon that's on the right. We want to set the threshold to -75 dB and reduce the decay to 0. We basically want the noise gate to be transparent unless it's eliminating some of the 60 cycle hum. The next thing we want to add in is a volume control, so we'll click the volume block that's next in the signal chain, and here we'll leave the controls where they're at. We'll just need to turn it on using the power icon that's on the right. Looking at the top, we see the block for the wah-wah pedal is next. We don't need it for this tone right now, so let's just leave it in the off position. The next block that we need to address is the stomp icon that's to the right. A fuzz pedal is a mainstay in John Frusciante's setup. Now he's not using it in the verse section of this song, but he clearly turns it on during the chorus. So let's change this over from the screamer pedal to the fuzz pedal by tapping on the orange stomp icon that's to the left. Here's a list of available drive and dynamic effects, and we're going to double tap on the fuzz pie to load that one in. Here's the chorus without any effects. Let's turn it on using the power icon to the right and take a listen with the factory settings. So let's reduce the drive to 60%, set the gain to 35%, and set the tone to 65%. Now that we have the proper tone for the chorus section of Danny, California, we can turn that effect off by using the same power icon on the right. We won't currently need any outboard compression or EQ, so we'll bypass those blocks at the top for now, but we will move on to the modulation block. For the bridge section of Danny, California, Frusciante runs the guitar track through a modular synth using a low-frequency oscillator and a high-pass filter to create a swirling atmospheric effect. We don't have access to that same exact setup in AMPLIFi, but we do have access to the sweeper. The sweeper is like having two wah pedals in a stereo field, pulsating in opposite directions. If we set the frequency and the depth just right, we can get very close to Frusciante's much more elaborate studio setup. We'll find the sweeper by clicking on the blue mod icon that's now on the left. Scroll down and find the sweeper, double tap it to load, and we'll take a listen to the bridge before adding any effects. We'll turn it on using the power icon and listen to it with the factory settings. The first thing we'll need to do is set the correct tempo. Danny California is played at 98 beats per minute, so we can use the tap tempo function to tap that in. Then we'll need to set the note value of the effect to a 16th note triplet, set the mix just below half at 45%, and set the depth to 65%. The Q, or bandwidth of the frequency, should be set to 70%, and the frequency itself should be set to 85%. Now that we have the sweeper set up to handle the bridge portion of the song, we can turn that off again using the power icon that's on the right. We don't need a specific delay for this particular tone, so we can skip that for now, but we do want to tap on Reverb, which is the last effect in the signal chain at the top right. We want to start by selecting the correct type of reverb by tapping on the orange reverb icon that's on the left side of the screen. We'll select the small room reverb, so we can double tap that one or hit done to load it in. Let's turn it on using the power icon on the right and take a listen to it with the factory settings. We don't have to do much with the reverb, but let's leave the decay where it's at, reduce the pre-delay to 40%, leave the tone where it's at 50%, and bring the mix up slightly to 40%. At this point, we have the tone set up for the rhythm section, as well as access to the effects that are needed for the bridge and chorus sections of Danny California. Now it's time to save this tone to our AMPLIFi remote, so we'll tap on the Save Info button at the bottom of the screen. We'll start by renaming our new tone and hit Autofill Song Info to pull the information from the song that's currently selected in the music library. We can make any adjustments so the song information is more accurate, and also add additional tone information and notes at the bottom. At this point, we can save our new tone to the AMPLIFi Remote app by hitting Save Tone that's at the top left of the screen. The final step is to share this with the rest of the AMPLIFi community. We'll hit the Share button at the top right of the screen. From here, we can publish this to the Line 6 Tone Cloud, tweet it out to followers on Twitter, and share it with friends on Facebook. Thank you very much for watching. This is Robert with Line 6. We'll see you in the next video.